You know, it's a wild week in royal history when even the new Statesman, one of Britain's oldest and most respected publications, is saying out loud what the rest of the world has been whispering for years. The monarchy no longer makes sense. And that maybe, just maybe, when Charles goes, Prince William should pull the plug and end it all. Yes, you heard that right. Abolish the monarchy. Now, let's be clear. This isn't coming from a tabloid gossip rag or a YouTube conspiracy channel. This is coming from a mainstream British institution that's finally acknowledging the rot, the dysfunction, and the pure absurdity of the House of Windsor. And you know what's funny? The same people who've spent years smearing Harry and Meghan, calling them traitors, drama queens, and anti-monarchists, are now facing a mirror they can't escape. Because the establishment is saying exactly what Harry and Meghan have been saying all along. The institution is broken, outdated, and morally bankrupt. Let's break it all down. The new Statesman didn't hold back. They said the Windsors are out of touch, floundering, and completely clueless about the magnitude of the moment they're in. This is one of those rare times in royal history, like Diana's death, like Harry and Meghan's exit, where everything changes. And yet the royal family is pretending it's business as usual. They're ignoring the elephant in the room. Or, should I say, the Duke in disgrace. Prince Andrew. The man who lived a decades-long fantasy on the public dime, surrounded by shady businessmen, arms dealers and convicted sex offenders. And for what? For the luxury of calling himself His Royal Highness? Let's not forget, the British taxpayer helped fund Andrew's depraved lifestyle. $13 million of public money went into maintaining his arrogance, his excess, and his entitlement. But when that house of cards fell apart, the palace did what it always does: deny, distract, deflect. And who ended up taking the blame? Not the system, not the monarchy that protected him for decades. Instead, it's all on rogue Prince Andrew. Just cut him off the branch, they say. Heal the tree. Pretend the rot isn't at the root. Sound familiar? That's the same tactic they used against Harry and Meghan. When real problems arise, the palace scapegoats someone and calls it crisis management. The New Statesman called this moment dangerous territory for the Windsors. And they're absolutely right. The public is waking up. Even Middle England, the so-called heartland of monarchy loyalists, is getting tired of funding scandal and silence. And speaking of silence, let's talk about King Charles and Prince William. Neither man has had the courage to address the Andrew situation head-on. Not one word. Instead, the palace leaks stories blaming the late Queen, their own mother and grandmother, as if she's responsible for everything that's wrong today. That's not leadership, that's cowardice. Charles is supposed to be the steady hand, the modern monarch who ushers in transparency. Yet he hides behind palace sources and unnamed insiders. Meanwhile, William is on vacation. You can't make this up. The heir to the throne, the man who lectures others about duty and mental health, is out of sight when the monarchy faces its biggest credibility crisis in decades. And let's be honest, the article nailed it when it said William is not a great intellect. Because he's not. For years, the media painted him as this forward-thinking, modernizing figure, the saviour of the monarchy. But strip away the PR, and what do you have? A man who can't even name a favourite author. A man who prefers oral briefings because he doesn't like to read. A man whose biggest claim to relatability is that he likes football and Batman-related movies. Really, this is the future king. This is the guy who's supposed to lead Britain into a new age of moral leadership and global respect. The guy who reportedly bullied his brother, screamed at Meghan and let the British media destroy his family because he was jealous of their popularity. It's no wonder Spare hit him so hard, because Harry's memoir stripped away the mask. Spare showed the world exactly who William is, a controlling, angry man obsessed with status and appearances, someone who values the monarchy more than his own family. When Harry told the truth about what went on behind Palace 1, "Yes, it dawns, so disarm, numerous dan marzaus, yes, it just carries less noishes ilint, a no zaus amazit so tisum spem, ears says. Freddie needed it says. And that's exactly why the New Statesman is saying what it's saying now. The mystique is gone. The illusion has crumbled. Even the royal reporters can't keep up the act anymore. You've got long-time palace insiders like Valentine Lowe admitting that William doesn't even understand the institution he's about to inherit. He hasn't read the English Constitution, a book that literally explains how the monarchy is supposed to work. That's like being CEO of a company and refusing to read the employee handbook. But here's what's truly fascinating. The article hints that William might not even believe in God. Think about that. How can a man who doesn't believe in divine authority accept a coronation that's supposed to represent God's will? If the monarchy is built on divine right and the heir to the throne doesn't buy it, what's left to believe in? And that's why the New Statesman said Charles should be the last king. That's a profound statement. They're basically saying, the story ends here. Let the curtain fall gracefully. Because continuing this show would just expose how hollow it's become. Now, what does all this mean for Harry and Meghan? Everything. Because from day one, they were the truth-tellers. They were the ones brave enough to say, this system is toxic. It's built on silence, cruelty and control. They left because they refused to play that game, and they were crucified for it. But look at what's happening now. The same press that called Meghan divisive and Harry ungrateful is now debating whether the entire monarchy should be abolished. Harry and Meghan didn't bring shame to the crown. The crown brought shame upon itself. They're the only ones who had the integrity to step away before the ship sank. And that's why they're thriving in America, building real lives, doing real work, and raising their children in peace. Meanwhile, back in the UK, the future of the monarchy is literally being questioned by the very institutions that once protected it. Let's not pretend this isn't karma. For years, the palace and the tabloids tried to make Meghan the problem. Too modern, too outspoken, too ambitious. But now it's clear Meghan wasn't the problem. She was the mirror. She reflected back everything the monarchy didn't want to see. Racism, misogyny, hypocrisy. And they couldn't handle it. Now the cracks are too big to ignore. Even loyalists are saying the monarchy has no moral standing left. And let's not forget the sheer hypocrisy of how the British press covers Andrew versus how they treated Meghan. Andrew was accused of heinous crimes against minors. But he was given years of protection, legal funding and silence. Meghan? She dared to talk about mental health and equality, and she was hounded daily, vilified and driven out of the country. That's the Windsor legacy. Protect the predator. Punish the truth-teller. So yes, the New Statesman is right. This is one of those moments where history shifts. The monarchy's mystique is gone. The curtain's been pulled back, and behind it we see the dysfunction, the arrogance and the fear. William's image is fading. Charles's credibility is eroding, and Andrew's scandals are still haunting them. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan are on the right side of history, independent, respected, and free. They didn't need a crown to find purpose, and that's what terrifies the institution the most, because Harry and Meghan proved that you don't need the palace to make an impact. You don't need titles to make change. You just need courage and truth. And as the world watches this slow collapse of the Windsor brand, one thing becomes clearer every day. The Sussexes won the long game. If William truly wanted to stop the rot, he'd do what the New Statesman suggests. He'd acknowledge the truth. But let's be honest, that's never going to happen, because acknowledging the truth would mean admitting that Harry and Meghan were right all along. And the British establishment would rather watch the monarchy burn than admit that. But history will remember. History will remember who had the courage to speak up and who hid behind palace walls while the empire crumbled. Harry and Meghan spoke up. They walked away. And they built something real. The Windsors are still pretending they can PR spin their way out of this mess. But no amount of glossy documentaries, staged walkabouts, nonda, statunas. Tachiman iki emamnam. So, yes, maybe the monarchy should end with Charles. Maybe it's time for Britain to evolve, just like Harry and Meghan did. Let the old world fade. Let the new one rise. Because the future doesn't belong to castles and crowns. It belongs to compassion, equality and accountability. And those are the values the Sussexes represent. If New Statesman. Prince William should abolish the monarchy when his dad dies. There are these standout weeks in royal history where something huge is unfolding and everyone knows it at the time, and you watch it like it's a play set on a grand stage. A royal wedding, the death of a queen, the exit negotiations of a popular ginger prince and his American wife. What's strange about everything that's happened in the past month is that the public has a sense that this is one of those big moments in royal history where something changes irrevocably. And yet the Windsors are not acting like this is a big moment whatsoever. Prince Andrew and everything around him, and his decades of depravity, cruelty, arrogance and sex trafficking, all of it has very suddenly changed everything for the Windsors, and they don't know what to do. They're treading water, or bickering amongst themselves, or trying to distract from the story, or, in the case of the heir and his wife, they're on vacation. Well, the New Statesman has tried to capture the mood, and the mood is quite suddenly Republican and anti-monarchist. You can read the full cover story here. It's an excellent read which makes many excellent points. I wanted to do some highlights of the main thrust of the piece. The New Statesman says outright that when King Charles dies, William should abolish the monarchy. The Andrew problem. The truth is that an estimated 30 million of public money helped to fund the decades-long Caligulan lifestyle of a prince who cavorted with, among others, a convicted paedophile, a Libyan arms smuggler and a Kazakh oil baron. This truth was obscured, denied or ignored, that is, until Andrew's world began to collapse in 2011. Since his 2019 Newsnight interview, the prince has been in continuous freefall. He may yet pull down the House of Windsor with him. Though he vigorously denies the latest allegations of sexual impropriety against him, made in Virginia Giuffre's posthumous memoir, Nobody's Girl, Andrew nevertheless issued a terse 103-word statement printed under a royal coat of arms on 17th October. It explained he would no longer use my title of Duke of York or the other honours bestowed on him. The use of "my" suggests Andrew does not understand the dark depths of the well the Windsors find themselves in. Charles and William don't understand this moment either. The King and Prince William have not seen the need to issue their own statements about the allegations against Andrew. They have instead been classically mute in the old Windsor way. Neither of them has spoken about the allegations against Andrew publicly. Charles's lackeys feed journalist lines about his frustration with the former Duke, or, more extraordinarily, given the reverence he publicly holds his mother in, blame Andrew's conduct on the indulgence of the late Queen Elizabeth. Being dead, she cannot answer back. The King's silence is less explicable. Rather than taking responsibility for the damage their family has done to Britain's reputation and clarifying exactly what steps will be taken to ensure that the Windsors never produce and protect another Andrew, open explanation is left to others. Andrew should face criminal investigation. Forget the allegation that a key member of the head of state's family stands accused of ordering his taxpayer-funded police protection officer to dig up dirt about Giuffre. Do not ask questions about the $500,000 Andrew paid for a PR expert who sought to discredit Giuffre by enlisting the services of an internet troll. Blame the rot on the apple, not the orchard it fell from. Clip it from the branch. Heal. Quotes from Andrew Loney, who wrote the book on the Yorks. Obstructions were placed in front of Andrew, Loney told me on 27th October. Ambassadors were told not to talk to me. Interviews with major magazines were pulled just before my book went to press. A PR firm was set up, with whose money we don't know, to undermine me. Loney has been on a book tour in front of audiences in what he calls Middle England. The crusty colonels out in the shires are not happy with the firm. The Windsors are in dangerous territory, he says. William is not a great intellect. William, the heir to the throne, is perhaps the most under-examined of all. We are briefed that he will be a fresh, positive, modern influence who will delouse the archaic fabric of monarchy. He cries in commoners' kitchens about mental health and is praised for his empathy. He watches Aston Villa and may even be able to name their second-choice goalkeeper. He even made sure his press secretary went to a comprehensive, not a public school. We know from the royal super-biographer Robert Hardman that William is unable to name a favourite author, but that this box-set guy does love Batman-related superhero movies. William is too lazy to read. In some respects, William might simply reflect what the average British bloke is like today. But average isn't the expectation of the Crown, and he differs a great deal from Charles and his grandmother. Thanks to Valentine Lowe, another long-time royal observer, we learn that. William is not a great reader. He prefers an oral briefing. In Power and the Palace, Lowe reports that William will be the first monarch in several generations not to have read Walter Bagehot's The English Constitution. Read between the lines. What are they telling you? Spare did real damage to William's image. In Prince Harry's Spare, William is a frowning, balding, swearing, feuding, violent Abel who obsesses over keeping his brother's charities out of Africa, as if these were territories that belonged to him the way they once belonged to Victoria. William emerges as furious and bossy with an ultimate mission: the lifelong endurance test his grandmother called duty, a task he is prepared to sacrifice his brother for. The monarchy, always, at all costs, had to be protected. What exactly is being protected at this stage? None of the arguments for paying to feed and water the Windsors make much sense anymore. The Windsors are already thinning out. It may be that this power is beginning to fade. It will soon be questioned in Parliament, a highly unusual moment, pregnant with possibility. The world is rapidly dissolving, and so are the Windsors. The family itself is thinning out, with fewer and fewer of them to go around. The king is an aged, ill man who will be succeeded by a middle-aged man, who, in turn, will be followed by George, by then long past his youth. The future of the House of Windsor will be a conveyor belt of cloistered and confused men attempting to force consensus on an ungovernable country. Stopping the rot. William should stop the rot and acknowledge the truth when his father dies. The mystique is gone. Charles III should be the last King of England. He is the last Windsor who really believes in any of the hocus-pocus of his house. William doubts that God exists. How can he go through with the coronation in Westminster Abbey without acknowledging that God has put him there on the throne? Abolition would be contested and vicious, or the monarchy could end very beautifully. From the New Statesman. Yep, all of this. As I said, an interesting moment in what's left of royal history. It reminds me to make a very strained comparison of what happened after Princess Diana died. QEI got it wrong, Charles got it wrong, and the Windsors just seemed to be completely out of touch with the mood of the public. That moment saw a rise of Republican sentiment as well. But I like what the New Statesman is doing here, pointing out how the system really doesn't make sense anymore, and how ridiculous it is that the current king is fighting with his degenerate brother over which taxpayer-funded home the brother will live in next. And yes, William is profoundly incapable. We really are living through some unique history. I'm also including a New Statesman video below, which is excellent. You're watching this and you believe in truth, fairness and real change, then make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and join the Royal Sussex Squad. We tell the truth the tabloids won't. We expose the hypocrisy they hide. And we celebrate Harry and Meghan for being the brave, bold, beautiful souls they are. Don't forget to like, share and drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can hit that super thanks button to help us keep bringing you the facts the British media refuses to face. Because one thing's for sure, history is unfolding before our eyes. And here at Royal Sussex Squad, we'll be here every step of the way, making sure the truth shines brighter than the crown.